Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Pitch, Season 1, Episode 8. It's called Unstoppable Forces and Immovable Objects. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. I think there's a lot of this episode that I did enjoy,
But
but it's really starting to feel like the flashback stuff is really the crutch
yeah,
that needs to get kicked away, because the brother plotline in this one was really not doing a whole lot for me. It felt like forced drama, kind of like how the end of Mike's flashbacks last time was very forced drama.
I agree. And my problem is it feels like they're allowing the flashbacks to dictate the main plot now. Like it's before the first few at least it felt like here's the present day and let's show some flashbacks. Whereas now it's like, we've got a story for a flashback. Let's throw this into the modern day as well.
Which is really annoying, especially because in this episode I feel like it directly just kind of messes up Ginny's entire story this episode, whereas the other people in like Mike's story in this episode I thought was the best part. That was engrossing, it was interesting.
Definitely.
Even Oscar and Charlie's little plot line about going and fighting with the caretaker of the park, like,
Groundsman.
groundsman. There you go, that's the word. Like, even that was quite good and interesting and had some fun stuff to it. Whereas the whole brother stuff, especially since the last time we saw the brother, he seemed like a pretty good guy. He made the right calls. He gave up being the manager because he could see it was the right thing, which he still did, and I still like him for that. He still obviously has layers, but
In this he kind of just comes off as a dick for like 90% of the time.
yeah, he's like a two-dimensional, family member who's got, criminal ties, and, maybe criminal ties is too strong a word, but, the idea that he's taking loans from people who have came and beat him up for it, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, really, are we doing this? And it's funny, actually, the first flashback, I don't think it was clear it was a flashback at first.
I didn't realize it was.
Nah, do you know what it was? Because obviously it cuts to, we see that Ginny gets told, oh, your brother's here, right? And then it cuts to him on the phone. And I didn't realise this was meant to be a flashback until it ended and it gave the flashback noise. And I'm like, wait, was that a flashback? Are we going to a flashback?
Do you know what? I think I even skipped over that noise, and it wasn't until the next time he showed up that, and he wasn't beaten up anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, that was a flashback.
Which I don't mind them doing flashbacks that are within the timeline of the show. Like, that's fine, but it's just,
Make it a bit clearer.
yeah, that one wasn't that clear. It wasn't until that noise at the end where I was like, oh, right, that was a flashback. Okay. Well, even then, I wasn't sure if it was a flashback. I was like, oh, are we going to a flashback? Wait, this can't be a
Yeah.
flashback, so that must have been a flashback. It was,
Yeah, if you're gonna do your flashbacks, make it obvious, or they either have to always be like, this is clearly a flashback, or play it a bit more ambiguously a lot of the time.
yeah, yeah, so that at the end when they reveal what it is, that it's more like impactful. Whereas this just felt like it was kind of shaky,
Sloppy editing.
sloppy, yeah, and it didn't feel clear, which is a shame. Honestly, the only because obviously the whole thing here is that he is here to see Jenny, but it becomes kind of clear that he's here because he wants her to invest in his new restaurant, that he wants to open up a sports bar after his last failed ventures, and Amelia kind of can sense this, and she's kind of confrontational with him. And honestly, the only thing I liked about this entire plotline was Ginny's kind of attitude towards him and his business venture. I liked that she was kind of like, yeah, look. I mean, she didn't say this in as many words, but she doesn't see this as, oh, he's this, scrounging brother coming to take my money or whatever. Her opinion is, look, he's been there for me when I needed him. He put his life on pause to train me or manage me at one point. He gets this. He wants it. He gets it. It's not a big deal. We don't have to have a fight about it. I'll back you, but don't cause this stress.
It also helps that she clearly isn't in need of money.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
given
of course,
her
yeah.
her Nike sponsorship from 2 episodes ago.
Oh yeah, like Amelia's treating this like, oh, he's coming to take her stuff, and like she's like, it's fine, like I don't mind. He's my brother. He's been there for me.
Yeah.
He might just squander this. It might fail. He gets it because of who he is.
But it's not a massive loss to her personally,
Yeah.
is it?
But I like that attitude. I like that she didn't see it the same way as Amelia did. She's like, no, no, he's earned this in other ways. He might squander it, but he's earned this.
Yeah.
To me, he's earned it. So I like that attitude, but otherwise it was mostly, all the awkward stuff with Amelia confronting him in front of Evelyn, in the WAG section of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That moment where he kind of announces that she's already on board with it as well before she's even spoke to her. Like, why? It just makes him come across as more of a dick. There was no need for this scene.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward. I do like the whole setup of the episode, though. I like that it's like, San Diego really rains during the baseball season because, it's summer, and it's obviously very sunny climate. But this is the one time in a long time that it has rained. And they have to shut down the game midway. And they do this whole thing where they cover the pitch. If it stops raining, they can go out and they can set it back up and whatever. I like that. I like that whole sense that it's essentially a forced, like, long halftime where they have to. Whereas all these plots are going on in between, like, the broken game. I like that. It made for an interesting setting, and they keep giving us these interesting settings that are different than before. Whether it was Deadline episode or, the other ones.
Yeah,
they've been.
the point is they all feel like natural things that will happen at some point in the sporting world,
But distinct, so we're not constantly feeling like we're getting the same. Oh, they need to win this game plot every episode.
Exactly. There's different reasons for different things.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. It's just a shame the brother plot kind of
Drags
takes
it down
over.
quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does. Let's go over to Oscar and Charlie, because so Charlie's getting frustrated that they need to get them back on the pitch, because if they get at least 10 minutes of game time, it's enough to show that they win the game. It's enough to get to that point. But the groundsman is, a man who takes his job very seriously, who's played by the same actor, and I forget his character's name, but he was on Chuck. He was
I
the
want to say like Big Al or
Mike. I think it was Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Yeah, on Chuck. So it was nice to see him. But he's like, no, we're going to be safe. It takes this long to do this. It takes this long to do that. And he tries to, and Charlie tries to be a wise ass and say, yeah, but the Yankees do this in like 15 minutes. And he's like, yeah, but that's in New York. They rain like all the time. Like
Yeah, like they
used to
do this every other week.
Yeah, we do drills. This is like training for an earthquake. On the East Coast, it just does not happen.
Yeah.
It's all theoretical. So, and they have this. And my favorite moment of that is those before they go down. Oscar tells him, "Don't call him Russ. Call him Russell. He prefers Russell." And as he's leaving, as Charlie's leaving the office, he goes, "Thanks, Russ." As he's walking out, it was just a nice little touch.
Yeah, just to show how kind of pissed off he is with the situation.
Yeah. What I liked about that plot though is I like that he keeps trying to like fix things by being like the corporate like forcing things to happen. Kind of like how Amelia was when she was trying to force things for Ginny. And
Yeah.
Oscar basically explains, look, this is out of your control. You can't do this. You can't do that. And he says sometimes you just have to accept that and take your frustration out and hit some balls.
Yeah.
Or do whatever it is you do to take frustration out.
No, I agree. It was a nice plot line because obviously this manager has come in, he's fresh, and he doesn't understand the game and the systems. He knows the numbers and the stats, as he says, but
Yeah.
doesn't actually understand the day-to-day runnings. And I think it's important to show that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that, and I feel like I've kind of liked him so far, but I like that we got a bit of time here to actually let him grow as a character, for him to learn something and have a little arc, and
Yeah.
because I actually kind of like his way of like doing things mostly though, like the way he like at the start of the episode, him and Oscar both agree that they need to win the game, but they or they need to get back on the pitch, but they both want that for different reasons. Oscar thinks that we need to win this game, so we've got a shot at get advancing in the league, and then but his reason's different because of Ginny and all that. So it's they both have these different things, but as soon as Oscar says his different opinion, Charlie just says, yeah, so we both want the same goal. The way he kind of like melds everyone's goals together, so they're all fighting on the same side. I actually kind of like. He's done that a few times in the past.
Yeah,
few
it's
episodes.
it's the idea that he doesn't care why you want this victory, as long as you end up getting the result that he wants. He doesn't care why.
Yeah. So no. And of course, the bigger main plot I think that I really enjoyed in this episode was Mike, who thinks he's being like forced out to because he has the option if he wants to be traded. He can't be forced, so they have to let him make the choice, and he feels like they're wanting him to make that choice. And there's kind of like a countdown to the episode where Oscar brings it up to him, and Mike like lashes out. He lashes out a few times. They have that whole kangaroo court thing where he
It's pretty fun.
yeah, that's pretty fun until he flips out and starts
Yeah.
shouting at people. But it's fine because it's in character, and you get why he's angry, why he's frustrated.
Yeah, this
Which
is like potentially the end of his career.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Jenny has good chemistry with Levan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they actually had some good chemistry, which was nice. Because I think Levan so far has been very. He's been the antagonist for Mike, so he's always came across as kind of the villainous one.
That, and we've not really seen him in context of that many people.
Yeah, yeah. It's just been like it's always been the pissing contest we've seen him in. Whereas
Yeah.
with Ginny, it became more about okay, let's just bond a little bit and talk about
Yeah,
ourselves.
it was like, look, we're on the same team. We both want to win the game. Let's
Yeah.
do it that way.
Yeah, and it's a different chemistry that she has to Mike, but it's still good chemistry. Which is good. It's nice that they have these different relationships and they all feel unique. Um, although my favorite part of this, even though if you'd have told me a couple of weeks ago, right, how would you feel if they hinted that there might be some sort of romantic interest between Jenny and Mike? I would have been like, no. But I kind of like how they did this.
Me too. I was the exact same thing at the start. Like, I just said, nah, I don't want this.
Yeah, platonic. Platonic is way better for this. Yeah, that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
But the whole thing where Omar, who's the other player who lied for her in Kangaroo Court, admits like, look, when she's on the pitch and sometimes I can't focus. She distracts me. And Mike and Blip take him into a room and they're like, no, right. You've got a crush. It's not that big a deal. You don't have feelings for her. You barely know her. I've spent like 100 more hours. And then he starts talking about how she hums Katy Perry out of tune while she's training. And it was kind of crossing my mind, but I'm like, whatever. But it was Blip. Blip sort of turning around and looking at it. I'm like, wait, how are you
You're
noticing
noticing
that?
these things, yeah.
You're noticing too much of this. And that kind of worked for me because I like the idea that even Mike doesn't know yet. At least at this point, he hasn't
Yeah.
quite accepted it. Yeah.
But I also like, because even if they do go down like the relationship route on the show, there's still like so many other platonic relationships that they've established.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this is Ginny's in a team surrounded by men, so she can only have one platonic relationship.
Non-platonic.
Or non-platonic, yeah. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
But unless, of course, they wanted to go like CW times 100 and have like the biggest love, like I don't even know the word for a shape with like 25 people, but
Yeah.
not a triangle, but like all the points.
Yeah, yeah.
After I can only know up to Octagon. I don't know. I feel like I should know up to 10, but Decagon? Nah, it's not Decagon.
It is Deca something.
Is it?
Sure it is.
I don't know. That's just.
It's definitely got deck in it.
It probably does, but who knows? So some math wizard kind of tells in the comments what a 25 pointed shape is, or edge shape. Yeah. So I enjoyed this plot, and of course it ends with him actually. We actually get to hear this out of tune singing of Katy Perry, which I wasn't expecting, and it was dire.
Was atrocious, and it was fantastic.
It was fantastic, but it's almost the moment where Mike kind of realised that she's a distraction to him.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of prompts him to go into the office and say, Chicago. That's how we end. It's like he's suggesting that he be traded to Chicago, and I don't know if he's actually going to go through with it. And if he does go through with it, will he remain in a sort of relationship with Ginny? Maybe not necessarily romantic, but just because I don't think he's leaving the show. I don't feel like we're going that route.
No, it doesn't feel like it.
But it is interesting, and I wonder how he will deal with this in the future. Because it's funny, I could have seen it going both ways at the end, though. Like, see when he hears her singing, and he sort of like notices it. When he storms out into the office, I could have seen it going both ways. He could have literally ended that same scene with just, I'm staying.
Yeah.
Out of camaraderie, out of, this and that. But he didn't, so.
But he puts his career first, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. So he could be talked out of it. There could be something else. Maybe Levan gets hit by a car or something. I don't know.
I can see him going, and he'll just be like, I'm not happy, and then he'll like retire and then come back in a managerial role.
Yeah, he'll replace Al or something like that. Yeah. I can see that. What would be fun though is if like they actually get to the if they actually get to pat all the stages and they're in the World Series. Like if Padres get there, it's the opposing team that makes on. That could make for a fun fun thing.
Yeah. Even if it's not like a big game, whenever that game does happen,
Yeah, yeah.
it will feel like a big event.
Yeah, it's funny actually. There was a reference in this episode to the Cubs not having won in over 100 years, and it's funny because I'm pretty sure this would have been written before that happened.
I'd have thought so. Because that
Yeah,
was only, what, 3 weeks ago now?
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. They could have quickly just rushed that scene to add it in, but
They could have done.
why would they do it in this episode? They could have just waited a couple. It's not like it's not that timely to do it this week.
I almost feel like if they really wanted it in, they'd have done it for, like, the one after.
Yeah, they could have almost because they would have known a little bit in advance that they were in line to maybe win. So what they could have done is shot two versions of a scene for the week. You know,
Nah, that's how sure they were that they wouldn't win.
that's how sure they were. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Uh, but no. Also, Evelyn continues to be one of my favourite supporting characters. Just suggesting that there be a sharing platter called a baker's dozen in this restaurant themed towards Ginny and the Padres.
It's fantastic. I love how into the idea she got. She was like, "Oh, I want in on this."
You know what? As a fan of puns, I'm all for it. She knocked it out of the
Absolutely.
park, to use a baseball analogy. So that's this week's pitch. So a couple of big issues with this week's episode, but there was still good stuff in
The
there.
thing is, if you ignore the stuff with the brother, this was pretty great.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. I mean a plot point we didn't mention. Oscar's having a relationship with Al's daughter,
Yeah.
which I like how they played that because she was in the same room with the Wags, and she says he doesn't know a thing. You immediately assume that it's a player's wife, and I was like, oh, Oscar, this is unprofessional.
Yeah. You immediately go to this is an affair. Like,
Where-
and it
Whereas in actual fact, it's actually okay. It's just like, oh, I work with her dad. It's kind of awkward. That's not telling me it.
Yeah. No, it makes complete sense. It stops Oscar coming off as a scumbag, which is
Yeah.
important because obviously it was established him as a nice guy, doing the stuff for his kids and
Yeah, nice guy who's tough when he needs to be tough in like a managerial role, but not not a bad guy.
Yeah, and I think that was because it was almost a little bit worrying if they were going that route for me.
Yeah,
Well, I was thinking.
It would be another element of forced drama if they were going that route. Whereas this I'm okay with because we've heard about Al's daughter and it'll flesh out Al a little bit because he'll have this other avenue to show what kind of
And
a
we'll
father
have
he
those
is.
fun family dinners that he mentioned.
Oh, we're so getting a family dinner scene with Oscar over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Although that does imply though that he's known his daughter for a long time. Because he
Yeah.
said he used to go to family dinners, but that ended when Al's wife died.
Yeah.
And we know that he got him his first gig as a scout and all that. So they've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
So, wonder how long he's known his daughter and how long this has been going on. Don't know. Find out. But anyway, that's this week's pitch. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz if you want to. We'll see you next time.